Hello, everybody. My name is Juan Carlos Brando. Thank you so much for having us today and for joining our show with the attorney Margaret W. Wong and Associates. And today we are really excited that so many people have contacted us to have an appointment with the attorney Margaret W. Wong. So if you want to make your appointment, just give us a call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, and the attorney W1 will be in your city in the next few weeks or the next few days. So you can make your appointment calling this phone number, 216-279-3984. So let's welcome the attorney Margaret W. Wong today in the English show, in the English Facebook with the attorney Margaret. So if you have any questions, they will be answered in English. And if you want to do it in Spanish, it has to be on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Good morning or good afternoon, Ms. Wong. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. Well, today is October the 10th, is less than 1 month for the election. And, there's a lot of things going on and people that talk here and there about immigration. And well, you have been in this business for 47 years. So is it always been like this that immigration has become a very uh, trending topic for the elections every 4 years?
No, it's not never as bad as now, especially this year with Biden stepping down, Kamala Harris coming up, and then Trump's problems. But it's not as bad. But through the years, though, I do remember when Reagan started IRCA, saying that he'll give more than 1 million people green cards under amnesty, but in return, employers can no longer hire people who does not have papers. So that program went really well. In fact, a lot of big law firms in the 80s started to want to acquire like solo practitioners or people who are experienced in immigration, thinking that there'll be a big boost for companies because companies can no longer hire people who works with fake papers or no papers. So that came into Clinton started three strikes, you are out, means that in those days marijuana unless it's less than 30 grams, you're totally excludable, removable, deportable. That was in 97, 99, year 2000. Clinton really started all those 245I. So when people say Democrats are always pro-immigration, that's not true. Clinton is the one who said any drugs, you're out. If you did not file a visa petition before April of 01, before January 14th of 98, and before November of 97, you're out. So 245 came under Clinton, came under Democrats. And then you have Bush, whose wife is Latino Mexican and very educated. So actually young Bush, is very, very pro immigration, but he couldn't get 245I extended. The old Bush is pro-China because he's a China hand. So each person have their personal relationship with something. There was a time anytime they see a Chinese driving, they'll stop them to have a driver's license. And then it became the African Americans, and then now it's more the Latino, especially the Texas, the Florida started all this, the secure community 287G. Things really have changed. Yep. So if you think about it, it really started with Reagan, but Reagan does it. Also, Obama became deported in chief. Actually, Obama deported more people in his first and second 4 years than Trump's only 4 years. I mean, a lot more. But Obama did it so nicely, quietly, that nobody really complained. Obama was really bad when it comes to deportation, when it comes, and also I think he's insecure. Does Trump keep talking about he's not an American born? Trump tried to buy his auntie who had no documents and living in Boston. I'm her lawyer. So it was bad, but never as bad as now.
Yes, well, and it comes to be a trending topic all the time, and in all the election, some of the topics are the health, uh, which now we have Obamacare, which is a really good help for a lot of people. But those are like the trending topics in the debates that they hold as people running for the presidency of the United States. And sadly, immigrants have a hope in what they say, and sometimes they just don't get nothing. So, uh, but thank God we have Attorney Margaret W. Wong, that she is working at helping thousands of immigrants every single year. And thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for everything you do and for having this show to talk to a lot of people about immigration. Let's start with the questions. And we have a person here that says, what is cancellation of removal? Who can apply?
Good question. It's what we call the 42B. It's also the two types of cancellation of removal. One is non-LPR cancellation of removal. One is LPR cancellation of removal. That's a 42B. 42B means that means that I've been in America undocumented, all documented. It's a gray area. Do I need to be illegal or undocumented to apply for 42B? Or could I be illegal for 5 years, but legal for 5 years and still apply? My interpretation of that is as long as you enter America, you're here more than 10 years, and you have parents, spouse, or children under 21 who has extreme hardship. Extreme hardship doesn't mean the normal hardship of mere separation, all right? It means that there is a lot of needs on behalf of the old parents or the young children, autism, dementia, stuff like that. It has to be serious. Then you can apply for what we call the 485 and the 42B forms with $180. But the interesting thing is you can only apply 42B when the case is in court. But that's a non-LPR 10-year cancellation. Another cancellation case is LPR cancellation of removal, means that I have a criminal record, I already have a green card, but because of my criminal record, I may or may not be deported or removed. What's the difference between deportation and removal? Anytime there's an OSC case, anytime there's an NTA case that started after April of 97, it's called NTA. Then you are adjudicated by the IJ to, if you lost the case, you're adjudicated to have a final order of removal, OR, order of removal. Voluntary departure is VD. I love lingos. I mean, if you look at my web, where I think it's still there, I have to check it myself. I love lingos. What's IRCA, IRCA? That's what Biden did. Was 245I? That's what Clinton did. So it's really a lot of fun. So non-LPR, that's 42B. LPR cancellation of removal means I have a criminal record. I qualify to stay here. The interesting thing is if it's a LPR cancellation of removal, you can only apply it once. So I have clients who came in, had maybe 3 criminal records, already applied for cancellation of removal, already won. So now I have to think of another way to help him or her. I could not do another 212C waiver or LPR cancellation of removal. So these are interesting little facts. But who can apply? People who have been here more than 10 years, have parents, spouse, or child, who could have who have extreme hardship if they leave. But the LPR, not LPR, LPR removal is a little bit easier. Some people may disagree. It depends on lawyers. You know, we're all vain, we're all competitive, we all think we are the best. So it's really a difference of opinion. Personally, I think LPR removal with not that serious criminal record, I think it's a lot more simpler because there's no form. You don't have to pay a filing fee. It's very much up to discretion. But non-LPR removal is more difficult because how do you define extreme hardship? It's range 1 autism, because there's 1 to 10. Range 1 is not that bad. Some range 1 autism don't even have an IEP report, or they may go to a 403. So these are interesting. I mean, I love my job. I mean, I know it sounds very technical. It's not. It's not rocket science.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. And well, if you have any other question, please just give us a call. The phone number is 216-279-3984. And you can talk to the attorney, Margaret W. Wong and Associates. The next question we have is, hi, I am applying for U visa. I have 2 children born in India, but now they are
Not
23 and
covered.
26.
Yeah, that's a very general question. Anytime at time of filing, if they're over 21, they're out. You cannot file L2 for them. But if you have a foreign-born wife and the wife is 45, even though you marry her after the filing of the U visa, you can do another case to add her in. That's a new law. In the past, maybe 5 or 6 or 4 years. But children, once they're over 21, out.
Okay, so they were both under 18, is what she says. So they are included in the application.
But at the time of crime, they were only under 18. No, because now they're over 21. So it doesn't matter when they come. It doesn't matter when at the time of, because see, I think they're lucky because they got the 980p signed, even though the crime was more than 7 years ago, because now it's 2024. The 918B was signed recently, even though the crime occurred in probably 2018, 2019, because they're under 18. So no, I'm sorry, it's at time of filing.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And we have another question, and it says, I came on an R1 visa waiting for my green card. I applied for TPS while waiting for the green card, which was filed 4 years ago. Yesterday, I received the approval notice of I-131. What is it good for? I don't recall having applied.
There are 2 ways to get the I-131. There's a parole. So TPS, you can also get parole. 485, you can also get parole. The question then depends on how you get to 485, but TPS and both 485, you can get home. So I presume if you're from Venezuela, you could go back to, which I don't know why people want to go back to Venezuela, but I'm just giving you an example, because you never filed asylum. If you filed asylum and you got parole, you absolutely cannot go back to home country. You're right, you don't know, but your lawyer may have filed it, but absolutely you can go, because R1 is a religious worker visa. So, and also TPS technically is a status, which means that, see, R1, you can only have 5 years. The 360 probably was filed maybe after 2 years, after 3 years, because you have to be these are good questions. You have to be a religious worker for more than 2 years to file the tax return. Now you filed the 360. So after 1 or 2 years of filing the 360, as long as you have a TPS or R1, because TPS is a status. So I have a 5-year R1, 360 not approved. Now I got TPS, another 3 years or 2 years. In the meantime, you could still file 485 because quota not open for a long time for R1 for 360, because now it is just a long time because a lot more people are doing religious ministry and stuff like that. So absolutely you could travel. You don't remember you filed it. It could be because it's a 485 filing. It doesn't matter if you filed it or not, just to make sure. 485 I-131 is good for 5 years. Just make sure you come back on the day before it was expired. 485, you get 5 years. TPS only get up to TPS. TPS normally is 24 months. So absolutely travel. But if I were you, I was also check when did your lawyer file the 360, what's the priority date. Did you ever have a lapse? Because employment base, which is R1, you can only have 180-day grace. It's really not as simple as I found something, I do this, I have TPS, I could get a green card. That's what I would like you to check. If you have never been out of status, that green card should be approved. Because TPS, it's not a green card, it's just a temporary status.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. Don't forget the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. The next question we have is, hi, I live in Paris. I have a B2 visa and I have ESTA. I would like to move into the United States. I am an accountant. How
There are
can I
two
start a
ways.
business in the US and get a
Okay,
visa?
there are two ways to do it. I'm so proud of you. You got ESTA because you are French. You also get a tourist visa. I always advise people, because you have both, sometimes when you come through border customs, the CBP, all those windows there, they're busy. They normally give you ESTA. If you have both, I always advise you, before you get there, open your passport to that tourist visa page. Get them to stamp you a B2 visa, because tourist visa, B2, you can apply for change of status, you can apply for change of student, you can apply for change of E2. Since you are French, you also can do an E2 visa. So, and I'm an accountant, so you got if you get a job with a designated E2 company, and they're also French, you can do a E2 status, because E2 status is easier than H1. If not, you can also get an H1, because not all jobs require a CPA degree. So I would do the legal route. But if it's a legal route, I would come as a tourist visa. Because if you come on ESTA, you only have 90 days. You cannot even take a cruise and leave and come back anymore, because they're pretty tough on ESTA. Because even though you and I know you're French, because you are, but you're still considered a third country national. So they always look at place of birth instead of your passport, because you have a French passport. That's how you get ESTA. So you come to America, if you want to stay here, do a change of status to an E2 visa. If you're Mexican, yeah, you could have been Mexican and you went to Paris and become an E2. You can still do E2 because non-immigrant visa status goes on country of nationality. So you're French, you'll get E2. You're Mexican who also have tourist visa, but in any event, come on tourist visa, do a change of status. Now get a full-time job and do a perm. Perm goes on country. So if Indian, it will take 10 years. Perm is only 1.5. If you're China, it'll take 5 years. But if you are any other countries, Middle East, accountant gets only about 2 years, 2.5 years to get a green card. It's an EB3. I hope I
Okay,
answered
thank you
your
so much.
question. Right.
Yeah,
Some
I
good
think so.
questions
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Wong. And well, we have another question here. This is a very touching question. But first, let me remind everybody that we have offices in 7 cities of the United States of America, in Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, New York, Nashville, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number is just one. It's 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. You can talk to the attorneys in the law firm of Margaret W. Wong. Why can't you apply for the E2 from the embassy?
Yeah, absolutely. You can apply for E2. Do you mean EB2 or E2? E2 is a working visa. A lot of countries have, Singapore have it, South Korea have it, Hong Kong no, China no, Argentina yes, Pakistan yes. So you could definitely apply to embassy. Maybe your lawyer is saying, because E2 normally the minimum requirements are higher, because the embassy knows how rich you are, how poor you are, or did you borrow the risk money from your parents? But the answer is you could apply for E2 if it's an E2 and not an EB2. EB2 is a green card. You can also apply in the embassy, but embassy E2 or EB2 is a little bit more difficult than local E2 or EB2.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wong. And we have another question, and it says, this is the one that I mentioned before. I have a kidney disease. I need a transplant. I live in the US and would like to see if I can find
Um,
a short-term
this
visa.
is a very, I'm doing quite a few transplant cases, and I'm really sorry because now to get a transplant, which is different from years ago, you need that social security number and probably a work permit, so you can drive. In America, there is a deferred action actually under Clinton and not even so much under Obama, maybe more also under Obama, but under Bush, the young Bush. You can do a humanitarian visa. It's more a deferred action, it's not humanitarian visa. Humanitarian parole is you can actually get it from US Department of State or USCIS, but it's practically impossible. Just having a kidney disease, they won't grant. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but they don't care. They're just heartless. And also, I don't blame them because there are a lot of people who's waiting online for the kidney or stuff. And we have clients who actually wants to pay for the transplant because in other countries they can actually buy a kidney, transport to America, and do a transplant. But then America would not give you that visa because they're worried about uproar that money can buy a kidney when in America you couldn't. I mean, unless it's illegal, you couldn't do it. So you need that social and you get the work permit. There's no human. You could get deferred action depending what and where you are, especially if you have no deportation. But even that is very difficult. Atlanta is pretty nice now. Maybe you can still get it, but not so much because New York is so big. If you can ask for it until you're 2 years. So it depends on where. Chicago, I love it. But Indiana court now is opening, but you don't get humanitarian in Indiana. A lot of Chicago court judges are going, so we'll see how nice they are. But Chicago court is awesome. Chicago ICE is not as nice, but still nicer than Cleveland. If you live in Cleveland, I can tell you now, you probably won't get it. Deferred action. It's a very hard. It's not fair. It really not fair. We had a case. I personally never really forgave immigration. The kids came to America from Egypt with their parents. The older one actually lost a leg, and that's why the parents brought. And these are not poor. I mean, they're not multimillionaires, but these are not poor people. So now, once they came to America because they're from Egypt, um, and the ICE put on an ankle bracelet. I mean, it's okay if you do it to the parents or the younger brother who's healthy, but worse, they did it on that one-legged child. So for months and months, I couldn't get immigration ticket off. Even though the child was 14, 15 and lost a leg. I mean, talking about being unfairness, but the child is nice. Now we got him a green card. It took me years to get it. But I just thought that's so mean, these are kids, let them be. And he's an older one, so I don't think life is fair. But in that case, they won't do it. Kidney transplant for American ICE is really nothing. And they will ask who is paying for the transplant. If you pay cash, how much do you pay a month? Because a lot of people are paying cash. They have no insurance because they don't have a social, no Obamacare. They pay cash and they pay like some money a month. Immigration will say no because you may get into public charge. It's really mean.
Yeah, that's bad. Um, I understand that probably in the state of California they could help this person, but I
Right?
don't know.
But you still need some papers.
Yeah,
But California ICE is not going to grant you deferred action, especially Los Angeles. San Francisco, if you're gay, it's okay. If you're trans, maybe. But if you're normal, they probably won't give it to you. Or they'll say you are in line waiting. I mean, in line waiting for the deferred action adjudication.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, just our best wishes for you, and hopefully you can get over this situation, which is really tough.
Oh, no, you get over it. Maybe call me and I'll see what else I can do. Never give up. Call maybe 10 lawyers, 20 lawyers, and call not for profits, Catholic charities. Somehow, if you meet someone by luck, they had a good night's sleep, they had already had their coffee, somehow they became brilliant. And you may find someone that knows someone in ICE and ask for a special favor. We all know people that once in a while we could ask for a favor, but you couldn't do it every day. And sometimes they get into trouble even 3 years later by saying, why are you granting this case? I mean, why are you even letting them get off the ankle bracelet?
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. And don't forget the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. This is a question that really touches me because that's what my dad was facing before he passed, a kidney disease. Of course, he would qualify for the transplant and all of that because of his immigration status, but um, he didn't qualify because of his other health issues. That's the only reason. But if you are healthy enough to qualify, and then they say we can't help you because you don't have this or that, that's a really tough situation. So let's just hope that something can happen and you can uh, get a relief on this situation. This next question is I don't know if you want to
Yes,
answer
they
this.
probably will. And because of that, Biden and Kamala Harris already announced no more PIP, no more advanced parole or humanitarian parole for Cubans, Haitians, and two other countries. There are four countries already said no. No more extension of that or re-enrollment of that parole case. Absolutely, Trump would end PIP. I don't know if you meant military PIP or marriage case PIP. They will end marriage. It's actually is sort of stopped now. It's not even approved yet. But and worse is they may slow down military PIP.
Yeah, this is a time of uncertainty with immigration, and we just hope that the best situation comes for people that live in the United States. And I have another question. This person says, um, "Well, this is interesting, Ms. Wong. This person says, I had a problem with my husband and I called the police. They took him and now he's arrested. He got an immigration hold. I removed the charges for family violence, but now they say that they cannot release him because he's already in hold of immigration. Is there a
Oh, no, no,
bond
no,
that
no,
I could
no.
do?
Yes, yes, yes. Let me explain to you. This is a very good case. There are two issues, and don't mix them up. You're probably because there was a fight or something, neighbor called police or your daughter. We have cases like that. Police got him, and for example, he was picked up on a Thursday night, so they have to wait till Friday. The judge went on vacation. You have to wait till Monday. But normally, the day later, you can always request for bond, and that's a criminal bond. A lot of criminal lawyers say, "Oh, don't pay the bond because then immigration will pick you up and you're still stuck." My advice, and some lawyers may differ. We all practice differently. Is always pay that criminal bond. Normally, it's 500, 1,000, 2,000 if you can afford to pay it. Now, immigration would have a 48-hour hold. It doesn't mean immigration would come. They may even forget you if they're too busy because they can always come to your house and pick him up. They don't have to come to jail, but they do come. Now you call an immigration lawyer. Now you pay a immigration bond. If there was no prior and you're willing to drop it anyway, probably he'll pay bond now. If you're in Detroit, you may have a problem because Detroit judges, listen to me, Detroit, you've been listening to me. Please grant bond because it's not right. I have cases with you in Detroit where there was no priors, a DUI, didn't even plead guilty. You deny bond. What kind of practice are you going in Detroit? I know Detroit is tough because you have a lot of, maybe Middle Eastern people there. But listen, if you're in Detroit, listen to me because I know my business. Except Detroit, I want to call them out. But if you're in Atlanta, it's also tough. But lately they're nicer. But Ohio, even though they're mean, they will. I mean, they should grant bond. If you have no prior, you have not pled guilty, especially if you get an affidavit of the wife to come to court and testify. What happened is just because you dismissed it or you don't want to bring charges doesn't mean they will, because it's really up to the prosecutor. But as long as you didn't plead, even if there's one guilty plea on the domestic violence, as long as it's a misdemeanor, minor misdemeanor, he'll probably get out, especially in Chicago, New York. But of course, you have to sort of see as therapist, psychologist to say, stuff like that. Depends on also what court. I love these cases because what sometimes the judges, how what they want and what they will do. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for answering these questions for today's show. Our time is up for today, but thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge And we are looking forward to see you next Wednesday and, at 9:30 in the morning. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And for everybody who has joined us today, don't forget the phone number is 216-279-3984. Attorney Margaret W. Wong, with over 47 years of experience working in the immigration field. Thank you so much. Have a good time. Have a good lunch. Take care and see you next Wednesday.